Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Natalia, and I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager at xChange.
Hello from my side. My name is Ivan. I also work for xChange, but in a product department responsible for data products we build here. Big welcome from my side. And while we are introducing ourselves, I would like to invite you to our chat. Please find it on the right side from the presentation, from the video stream, and type there maybe a question you have and where you're from. Would be interesting for us to know what's the geography we're covering today.
Yeah, and I also like to mention that today's session is being recorded. And you will be able to find this recording on our Container xChange LinkedIn page anytime you'd like, and share it with your colleagues anytime you want. So right shortly after today's session, you will be able to find it.
Yeah, please keep typing in our chat, and we will just begin with the content and follow up on that later. The questions will be answered at the end of the session. So
yeah, and I guess the best way to start our session today is to give the overview of the current market situation. So Ivan, what's happening to container prices and one-way leasing rates today?
That's a very tricky question, but let me give you two examples. I have two charts. The first one you may see on the screen, that's dedicated to container prices over the last months for 40 high cubes, brand new. And I put together Belgium, China, and India as an example. From the first look, you may see that the prices steadily go down. But obviously, there are small ups and downs that you can see along the time series. Obviously, our partners, they are very price sensitive in terms of how much could it cost today or tomorrow. That may influence the margin they have. So of course, looking into the situation like this makes a lot of sense. But yes, we all know that, let's say, post-COVID situation is already around. So the regulations were eased, and now the prices generally for containers lower than they were in the beginning of the year. The second picture shows even more volatile situation, and this is the SOC leasing rates, so simply pickup charges that container user or container supplier needs to pay when they want to reposition container. And in this example, this is again 40 high cubes, so most frequently used unit type, but the route is from Belgium to China, so mostly from Antwerp to many other ports in the coast of China. But what you can see here, the time series over the week, and again, the price changes in a different perspective. You would be also interested to know when is the moment when it goes up or when it goes down. So there are lots of factors. You may ask me which ones, and of course, as I mentioned, COVID was one of the influencers, especially in the beginning of the year and the middle when we had some lockdowns, and of course that would lead to port congestions. But we also saw in European market there are strikes, and that would also make the staff not available to process the containers, so that of course influencing the price. And as of today, we also have heard about the economy situation. The global recession is expected to be happening quite soon, so nobody knows how much could it hit us, and of course what will happen with the cargo volume. So cargo volume, and of course the freight rates, which you usually see from the shipper own containers, from carrier owned containers as well, that would influence the SOC leasing rates heavily as well. And lastly, but maybe not the least as a topic, these are the political situation. So the war which is happening now put the different perspective on all the Russian ports, and the container prices and leasing rates also heavily impacted by that.
Yeah, so many factors could actually influence market values, right? And it seems like they're hardly predictable, or I know if it's even possible to predict them. And and so its market is super volatile, and companies need to know their current market values we kind of wondering how companies manage to do that in such a volatile market, to just stay up to date with the current market prices and leasing rates. And so we did some research on this topic and started with just asking current xChange members how they actually do that. And it turned out that mainly the main sources of information are messages on WhatsApp, emails, and phone calls to partners and suppliers. And of course, it makes sense, but still it's a very, very manual process, right? So kind of you need to approach to your partners, maybe many partners, many suppliers, to just identify kind of what is going with the market right now.
It sounds like a lot of work, right?
Yeah, indeed. We actually continued our study and conducted a survey on LinkedIn. And it turned out that 44% of the companies do that daily. So every single working day, they have to call or mail their suppliers, partners, just to find out the current prices. Another 40% do that weekly. So it's still quite regularly, right? Yeah, and 17% of the companies do that monthly. But kind of the question here is like, how do they manage to make any decisions based on this outdated data, right? If it's kind of, if they got this data 3 weeks ago, many things could happen during this time, as we know.
Indeed, yes. It definitely depends on the business, but obviously all of the partners I spoke with, they're doing it very frequently.
Yeah. So we see that majority of companies do it more regularly. Yeah, and the other questions that we also ask them, it's kind of how much time it takes them per study. So once they need to figure out what are their current market values, 57% of the companies spend more than 2 hours per research. So that means that it could be even 4 hours, 6 hours, maybe 8 hours. So it even could be a full-time job. Yeah, so it's highly manual and time-consuming process that requires a lot of effort. Yeah, so yeah.
I just wanted to say I could only agree with that. I tried to do the process myself when I started at xChange and see what the challenges our companies face by collecting the data, processing and organizing. And the outcome of this exercise was actually the idea to find out a solution that can help many of the partners out there, doesn't matter where they operate, to find the prices within seconds. And that's how we actually build up insights, considering that a lot of effort were put in that standard process, but maybe there is a better solution. And this is what we present today. So the insights is a data-driven tool that provides everyone access to container prices across the various locations, live one-way leasing rates for SOC containers, and of course the volume in terms of the supply to understand what's really happening, which locations are more popular and which are less. We have data today for 130 city areas across the globe. We also increase this number every quarter. And what we also could be very proud of, that we are market representative, combining the data sources from various platforms that can actually help us to say that this is not only exchange rate, but beyond this. The data updated daily, so some of their prices are definitely a good indicator to see that today we have something new, but some of them are even updated more frequently, so like hourly.
Yeah, cool. And I guess it's better to see the product in action. So let's jump into the demo.
That was also my intention. If we follow my screen, then you probably could see now the application live in our platform. And this is the first thing that the user might see once logged in and open the Insights application. We structured the data along the 3 different categories, and these are the also highlighted tabs on the screen. So we have the trading data, which of course is about container market prices, but also the supply. And in the first part, you may see directly the different countries or even city areas where you can find the prices, but also the map, which would highlight where we have most amount of containers today. We put together the time series and a very similar graph I showed in the very beginning. When you want to compare different locations and understand what happens with the price over the time, whether it goes up, whether it goes down, whether you might also see that it's pretty stable, also depending on the type, container, condition. And the last piece, even more sophisticated piece of information, where we show the typical negotiation corridor when the price drops from the, let's say, sales offer to the one accepted. And of course, we highlight a few other figures here. The leasing data has similar structure. However, here we focus on the major trade routes, the leasing terms, when you have a particular stretch, let's say from Shanghai to Houston, and what happens with the pickup charges. This is the money, in this case, container user would pay for getting a container for their cargo transportation, probably. And of course, all the other additional terms like 3 days, a rental charge, and the others. Everything is possible to adjust and then see on a different level, let's say monthly or daily, but at the same time, granularity helps you to get even different outcomes. The second tool here is about analyzing the locations. So for example, you want to find the most lucrative stretches, and that's exactly where you may end up with, and of course, supply level. And lastly, but not leastly again, here we have market reports. So we collected information and decided to explain the graph. So how can you interpret the data? And we have a good collection of white papers and an expert's guidance here. Something like about container reporting, but also additional slot booking survey or demurrage detention benchmarking. So everything is digested already, that you may see some nice navigations.
Yeah, so a lot of useful data already on board Insight's product. Let's just discuss the specific use cases where specific companies would need specific type of data. So, for example, I know that many of our early adopters do trading deals globally. So they buy containers in one country, they move it to another and sell it to seller. So how they could benefit from using Insights, for example?
That's a very good case. And indeed, many early adopters follow that path. I would say you can jump into any of the tabs and start exploring, but probably the easy way is to start with exactly this tab and this chart. So let's say you are typically looking for locations where you want to buy in a lower price, and then maybe find a location where you can sell container with a higher price. So in this case, I have an example of Europe, North and then Northeast Asia selected regions. So let's say for cargo-worthy containers, you want to look for something like, let's say, Antwerp and Ningbo. So you directly can compare and see that on the bar chart here. So there is a difference in the price, and it's good enough for the margin. And you can also see whether you can find containers right away. Looks like relevant, you can buy here and sell here. Additionally, of course, you might want to know whether the price difference between those two locations kind of kept over the time or what's really happening. And then you might also want to put them here on this chart, just to analyze whether the gap in between is similar. So yes, if you look 6 months ago, it was much higher. Today it's squeezing, but still there, right? Why this is important? Again, transportation takes time. So if you really bought in one place, brought to another place, could be 60, could be even 90 days sometimes. Yes, you need to take a risk and of course evaluate it through the data, but that's something you can also see here. And additionally, I would say you also be interested in the leasing terms. So do you really need to pay if you, let's say, want to lease out your container, or you would be getting something in your hand? So in this case, we would select Antwerp, Ningbo, still 40 high cubes, and you can see that there is a pickup charge, which is fluctuating, yes, but in the recent times, it's actually getting quite low, even though the supplier is supposed to pay. You can also check on the other terms, so whether the 3 days is something you're interested or rental charge, but I guess all along, you need to take the data as your input into business case calculation, and here you can simply and quickly evaluate that.
Cool. And I also believe that the data regarding leasing terms could be beneficial not only for container traders, but also for NVOCCs and freight forwarding companies who have who use SOC containers, and maybe those who also have their own container fleet. In this case, they would also be able to decide whether it's better to rent out their own containers, or maybe it's better to sell them in specific locations. So I guess that's another use case that could be applicable.
Yes, I totally agree with you. If you have a fleet and you want to know how you can utilize it the best, there is a possibility to see it through the stretches you probably already know whether you can earn something, but we'll also build up another tool here where you can, by selecting pickup location, evaluate what are the possible stretches for your repositioning and where you can get highest pickup charges based on averages we put together. Yeah, at the end of the day, you also can see it on the country level if the city is not the one you want to look at. But look, I mean, Shanghai, Russian Federation, yeah, is quite high at the moment. But if you are freight forwarder, you often enough need to evaluate whether this is cheaper for you to go with carrier-owned containers and all of the typical simplified, let's say, process, or you go with the SOC, so shipper-owned, and then you organize the cargo yourself. So sometimes this is the most feasible way where you can maximize on your profits. Yeah. And again, following the time series and evaluating all the other terms definitely helps in that. Yeah, for sure.
Another use case that we frequently come over is that some companies are discovering new markets and just considering entering new locations and expand their business there. So how they can benefit from insights in this case?
Oh, that depends on the business you are making. Of course, if you're just doing the fleet utilization, something that I just shown could be an interesting option. You can specify the drop-off region and say you want to expand to that direction. But if we say you're doing the typical trading, probably what you want to evaluate is, again, the price range. So you would start from the bar chart. Well, let's say you're expanding to Europe. You probably would select both, Europe North and Mediterranean part of Europe, and then you would see the price change there. So just to understand the range. Again, you can change the container condition, container types, and then take a look whether you get any particular question. So you can ask our experts or look then in the data reports, but this would be the first easier part. Yeah, then you probably would try to look into this chart and then see whether the price changes over time. So what happens is a really good time to enter this market. Maybe you need to hold and then jump into a little bit later, or vice versa. This is the really good time because the prices are down, and then you can see over the period, you can even change it up to a couple of years to see what happens with that. But I also like the last chart, and let me quickly show you that one. This is related to negotiation power you may have. And again, this depends on the location you select. So apparently our statistics says that customers, they behave differently. So there is a different approach in terms of getting the right price. And then you can see, for example, how much does it change from listed to the accepted one, but also you see the recent accepted deals or single points that you can find on xChange. So just another proof that this is what our partners doing on the platform. So something like that would definitely help you to evaluate the market. And of course, I definitely recommend to look into market reports, because we have a section dedicated to different regions in, for example, container reports. So we try to investigate or explain what happens there.
Yeah, I believe container reports also would be highly useful to those who are quite new to the container logistics industry in general. So it could be new companies on the market, or is it just new employees in some established businesses?
That's true. Yeah. If you hit the button view report, you probably would get up opening a PDF file or download it directly. You can see basically quite a lot of information. So we structure it along few regions where you can look into not only like the data, but explanations and some references towards what could you do with that. But again, the decision is up to you. We just provide you a white paper or report in this case.
Yeah, amazing. And also the beautiful part of xChange Insights is that everyone could try. Everyone just check out the data themselves, because we provide a 7-day free trial for everyone. So you can just discover new locations. So check the prices for your locations where you work with. Where you work in. Yeah, also just go deeper into the report analysis. Yeah, see what events impacted prices and leasing rates in some specific locations. So that could be highly beneficial for you, and that's free of charge.
Let me get back to presentation. I think we have one more slide.
Mm-hmm.
I also wanted to highlight that the data is a powerful instrument to find new business opportunities. Many of us seen that the last months, the situation on the market was quite tough. And of course, the higher competition, the lower rates, we come to the situation when it's difficult to get higher margin, like it was, let's say, a year ago or so. But having a data at your disposal, yeah, you can find out those chances or specific routes or particular locations where you can act directly and then be ahead of the market. So indeed, we discovered that it helps many clients already, and then I guess it can help you.
Yeah, for sure. And that's time for the questions. So type your questions to the chat, and we'll be happy to discuss them and address them. In the meantime, we have two questions already. So how often does the data get updated, Ivan?
The data is updated mostly on a daily basis. So we get new data points included, and then the averages for the week are, of course, updated. If we talk about, let's say, 7 days past, but you can also see the data on a daily basis on the time series. And the supply data is updated hourly, so super frequently. You can see what happens on the platform so that you can act right away.
Yeah, thank you. And another question is regarding prices. So as we mentioned, you can start with a 7-day free trial. After that, we have monthly and yearly subscription plans. You can check them out on the link that I just shared on the chat, or you can just easily find it on our website. Yeah, so you can compare easily the yearly and monthly plans and choose the one that suits you better. Another question is, can trading leasing data be exported to PDF? For example, the price trends or price comparisons for 5 cities I have selected.
PDF, well, at the moment, you can only take a print screen, but we are building a function that you can download it as a PNG, for example. So as a picture, that definitely would help for your presentations, and you can analyze it further. Now, if there are any more, let's say, downloading requests or approaches you want to work with data differently, just let us know. We have a very friendly support line, so we will bring it in our development in the upcoming months.
Yeah, I guess it's the right time to say that xChange Insights is a new product that we are proud of a lot, but we also have a big plans for the future development, just to add more data, more locations, some more opportunities to use this data. Yeah, so stay tuned.
Indeed. Yeah, we believe that having a platform with everything what you need for containers in one place would make the industry much more dynamic, and of course provide many of our companies or partners opportunities to win more business.
Yeah, for sure. As I don't see any other questions, so shall we wrap up and finish our LinkedIn Live?
I think so. Yeah, we're going to go back anyway to this space in the future. But as of today's session, just wanted to highlight that Insights is our new tool. We definitely see it addressing the problem of finding the prices quickly, being able to judge whether this is in line with your previous agreements, whether you are not aware of the market. This is again the tool where you can understand how it behaves and then what you could expect in terms of the rates and volumes. In the future, we're going to bring even more data, so it definitely would help you to calculate even other opportunities.
Yeah, thank you so much for being with us today. Yeah, happy week and happy Christmas. Yeah, happy Christmas holidays.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Time.
Goodbye.